Hello, I'm so excited to introduce you all to Topguard, a human-focused car safety monitoring and report system. Let's meet our team members. My name is Raka and I was the deck lead, and the rest of the team comprises of Lavanya, who is market research lead, Jason, who is technical lead, and Arizu, our mentor. The speed of accident response is a serious life-threatening issue. The longer a victim waits, the more likely the victim is to experience severe injury, disability, or fatality. For example, brain damage occurs after 4 minutes without oxygen, and cardiac arrest requires a response within 10 to 12 minutes. As seen in the table shown here, the average current response times for all types of locations are greater than or equal to the response times required for the previous medical issues. This is a problem. We see the impact of this in the following statistics. 37,000 people die each year in road accidents, 2.5 million are injured or disabled, and 1,600 children under the age of 15 are also killed each year by accidents. Now we'll go into the sub-problems related to accident response. The first is communication time. Rescue time is equal to the time between when the EMS is first called and when the EMS arrives at the scene. While we can't change travel time, we can change how quickly EMS is notified. Often, the responsibility of notification is left to bystanders or operators and their judgment, so they may not notify EMS as quickly as needed. When we reduce the communication time, we can therefore also decrease rescue time, saving the lives of car accident victims. The second subproblem within accident response time is lack of information. Assessment and treatment take longer when EMTs are uninformed prior to scene arrival. EMTs find information relating to pre-existing conditions, number of people at the scene, and location helpful. When we rely on bystanders or operators to communicate this information, we increase the chance of miscommunication between the emergency response chain of command. In fact, communication failures during accident response have resulted in fatalities, which have also led to lawsuits. We hope to improve accident response problems in turn saving lives with Topguard, our product that automatically sends critical incident-related data to emergency responders. Now, I'll pass it on to Lavanya.
So after we did research for our problem, we conducted a market survey with 46 participants. And in this survey, we found that 90% felt emergency responders should know how many people are in the car, and 100% felt emergency responders should know whether or not occupants are conscious. So we used this information to validate our solution. And then we also used the market survey to better understand our target market and the market size. So we found that 78% of our survey would be in the market for our product because they are able to drive. And we think that drivers would be our main target because drivers would be most concerned with their own safety. And we also think companies such as rideshare, freight, truck, or public transit sectors may be interested in Topguard as well because they would be concerned about the safety of their drivers and the occupants of their transportation. From the survey, we also found that responses from all ages took interest in Topguard. So we decided to focus on all ages that can drive instead of focusing in on any more specific age range. As for future relevance of our product, we found that states are expecting an increase in traffic fatalities from around 1 to 32% in the next year. And as fatalities increase, our product will become more and more relevant. So what is Topguard? Topguard is an alert system that reports data to emergency responders when it detects the occupants are endangered. This will help EMTs respond effectively and efficiently to car accidents because they'll be able to receive as much information as they need as quickly as they can in order to properly treat the patients. And so Topguard does this by monitoring number of occupants using face detection, occupants with consciousness using blink detection, and then reporting abnormal blinking behavior. And in the future, we also plan to monitor occupant posture and in-car dangers. So once we had a basic idea of what our solution would be, we conducted an interview with the user involved in a mild accident. And some of the concerns they had were Topguard's ability to monitor children in the backseat of cars, how Topguard plans to handle data privacy issues, and how Topguard would have optional features such as who to notify when a person is in a car accident. So with those concerns, we decided to modify our solution by adding features to our app. So we added a feature where users can toggle between the option to alert 911 or emergency contacts when they are in an accident. And we decided that we would host data in the cloud and anonymize it so emergency responders can have as much information as they need, but the data would not be stored for too long and it could not be misused. And we also planned to let users decide how many seats they want to monitor and where they want to install cameras in their car so that they will be monitoring the proper seats where people are actually seated. And Jason will talk more about this in the next slide.
That's right. So for this to work, Topguard will gather data from in-car cameras, and the user can decide where they want these cameras mounted. Excuse me, my slide went. Some of the options are a rear view mirror, the A or B pillars, and even a C pillar that faces forward for car seats. Users will be able to control these cameras and other features from their mobile app. We do have some big competitors in the market like GM's OnStar and Ford Sync systems, which are pretty robust and integrated in the vehicles they sell. However, neither of these systems provide enough information about occupant health. Topguard uses AI models to check health factors like consciousness during accidents. If it determines people need help, it will rapidly deploy that help. We also have future plans to add more detection features down the line. Now, on the topic of recording passengers, especially in a commercial setting, you might think, hey, are there any legal issues here? We thought the same thing, and we found that because we set Topguard cameras to be clearly visible, occupants will know of its presence immediately. Because they are so easily noticeable, these cases fall under implied consent. This is especially true for rideshare companies because their rides are considered public spaces where there are no boundaries for recording people. We do encourage users to inform any occupant that they are being monitored for their safety in case of an accident. We also take care to explain that data from Topguard recordings are anonymous and held short term. Further, Topguard can be optionally disabled and is only activated in the event of an accident, so it won't throw false flags if you happen to be napping in the car. We also want to ensure that our system works for a diverse population. We know that computer vision tasks have varying levels of effectiveness on different skin tones. Because of this, we're deciding to train separate models to aid Topguard's ability to monitor equally. Here's a short 1-minute demo showing a one-camera view of Topguard. Here we see our occupant getting ready for a drive. His eye aspect ratio is to the left of his face, and below that, Topguard is monitoring his blinks. Buckle up, safety first, as we watch him set off. We'll be able to see how Topguard reacts in the event of an accident. Here we see the occupant is incapacitated, so we get a warning. This occupant has set up Topguard to alert 911 and his mother, who is his optional emergency contact. Topguard will automatically send out pertinent information to the accident. It will check the occupant's consciousness, and it will report back the number of people who are in the car. When the driver is not able to call for help, Topguard is. This allows emergency dispatchers to send appropriate help to the scene before police are even able to arrive. We know that faster reaction times means saving more lives. Here we see our occupant getting ready for a drive. So we know that this product has a lot of promise, and we were able to come up with a lot of ideas for its next steps. One example would be to implement a pose detector, which would allow Topguard to identify specific trauma-related injuries based on how the occupants react to an impact. Some of these features are very novel and would require us to form our own data sets, but we feel it would be worth doing that to improve our ability to provide more crucial information. From our survey, we also found that people would like to see us include fire and smoke detection, occupant entrapment detection, and detection for pets or animals in the car. And that's Topguard. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
That was fantastic. And you were done a whole minute before your time. Judges, the floor is all yours for QA.
Hi, I'm curious about your recognition of the limitations of facial recognition. And you said you were coming up with different modules. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we've researched some past computer vision projects that were, they showed bias in what types of people that they could recognize with their models. And they found a successful solution to this was to train models on basically more specified data sets pertaining to each individual demographic. So by combining these models into Topguard, it allows it to better recognize everyone.
Okay, but you're not thinking there's a top guard that people with brown skin would buy versus white skin. This is you
No,
sourced more data sets to be responsive to a
exactly. Yeah,
greater array. Okay.
right.
I really enjoyed this presentation. I'm curious if you had a chance to speak to any EMTs. Are they able to process this information in their workflow and their willingness to act on it?
We really wanted to reach out to EMTs. Unfortunately, we weren't able to in the short amount of time that we had to build this, but that's definitely on our radar for like our next steps.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions too. So I think there was a slide that showed where the cameras were positioned. Do the cameras get positioned by the user themselves? Like, are you selling this to people, or is this like the car manufacturers need to install these cameras, and how does that work?
Yeah, so I think that we would like to have this product to be able to be an aftermarket solution. I think it would be best if we had our own team that could install these properly, or if we could figure out a way that would make it simple enough for an end user to install it, that would be okay. But we are also open to the idea of a car manufacturer integrating it professionally.
Okay. And then another question I had was for occupant detection. I think you did mention child seats, but is rear facing infant seats, is that something that you looked at as well? Because those can be obscured because they're facing the back of the car.
Yeah, that's what one of our end users brought this up to our attention, and we decided that it would be good for us to implement cameras that can face a dynamic range. So they can be backward facing to get the standard seating position, or they can be forward facing to get reverse car seats.
Okay. And last question, more of a comment. Have you thought about pets detecting, like detecting if there's a dog in the car in the event that
Yeah. So currently it can't do that, but that is definitely something that we want to implement because we know how often people bring pets into their cars.
Thank you.
Just curious, what's the main obstacle why this is not a product in a car today, and how fast will it become one?
That's a great question. I think the data set is a really big barrier to this. A lot of computer vision and recognition data sets are very new within the past decade, and that can probably be a big barrier to a lot of manufacturers currently. But I think once the data sets become more available, you probably see it a lot more often.
We have 1 minute and about 10 seconds left. Anyone else have any questions that they would like to ask?
How big of a market is this as a startup? Is it a $100 million market? Is it a $1 billion market? What could you do, and what's the main path for this? Let's say you created a startup out of this. Would you sell it to a big car manufacturer? Would you develop it on your own? Would you partner with?
Yeah, so I can't give you any hard numbers to answer that, but I know that the ride sharing market is very big right now still, despite a pandemic going on, and it will continue to be big after it. And there are other sectors like public transit that would be interested in something like this. And then of course there's always the option for any big manufacturers who might want to integrate this product. So I can kind of just generally say large, without being able to provide any specific details.